Good
Cheers.
morning. I hope you have your coffee. And yes, we're doing a morning show in the Fox Den. Mama D looks a little different today. She's got dark hair. She
Yeah.
changed her name to Mary Jane. But this was our guest. I really wanted to do this show about dreams. This is a question that we often get asked about dreams and lucid dreaming and things like that in that nature. So we've had an expert on before, but none like this one. Theresa has written, I don't even know how many books because I couldn't even put them all into a picture frame because there was just so many of them. So I just grabbed a bunch of them and put them on there. But we're going to talk to her about her dream book, Dream Dictionary, A to Z, all her books. Let me play her bio video and get her on here because this is going to be a packed show. So start sharing, everybody. This week in the Fox Den with Gina B and Mama D, we welcome Theresa Cheung. She is an internationally best-selling spiritual author, public speaker, and is regarded as one of the world's leading dream decoders. Listed by Watkins as one of the 100 most spiritually influential living people, she works closely with scientists and neuroscientists researching consciousness and is the media's go-to for expert opinion on dreams, intuition, afterlife, and the paranormal. After nearly 3 decades of publishing numerous popular books, she has well and truly earned the title the British Grande Dame of matters psychic and mystical. Since graduating with a master's in theology and English from King's College, Cambridge University, Theresa has written numerous internationally best-selling dreams, afterlife, and other spiritual books and encyclopedias, which have been translated in over 40 languages, and 2 Sunday Times Top 10 titles. Her constantly reissued Dream Dictionary A to Z is considered a classic in its field, and her Dream Decoder card pack is stocked in the Freud Museum. Her latest title, Empower Your Inner Psychic, instantly flew to number 15. In 2024, Theresa has 3 brand new titles coming out. Theresa also hosts White Shores, the podcast for spiritual beings. She was born into a family of traveling spiritualists. Theresa has dedicated her entire life to mainstreaming the transformative power of dream work and tuning into what is invisible and unseen in our lives. And we welcome you, Theresa, and everyone to the Fox Den. And good morning, everybody, and good afternoon to you, Theresa.
Good
Hello.
morning, Gina and Mary. It's just wonderful to be here. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank
my
you.
goodness. There is so much just in that opening video. And again, like I said, there are so many books. How many books do you have out?
I don't know. It's an addiction. I'm very, very sorry. I always say I'm not a serial killer. I'm a serial writer. I've been very blessed to have the opportunity to write book after book in this area because I did publish my first book in 1999, and I've been going strong with 2 or 3 titles ever since. That's a real blessing for an author to be able to do that.
Honest to God. So, and to be like the go-to for everybody too. That's a
In
good
the UK,
choice.
I would say more so in the UK because I'm a sort of semi-regular on ITV This Morning where I do national dream viewer call-ins for ITV This Morning, also BBC Local Radio. So more so in the UK, but increasingly I'm having the honour of being invited onto American podcasts, and I absolutely love it. I'm really enjoying it.
Well, we are really happy to have you here. So we are going to focus mostly on the dream book today. Although I could probably have you on every single week about, a different book.
I have written about every topic under the sun in Mind, Body and Spirit, but I'm best known for dream work. But then also afterlife, angels, intuition, psychic abilities as well come pretty close, but it is dream work. That's the book that the media seizes on and calls me in. And it's the book also that the door to the mainstream as well. Yeah, that one. Yeah, that's been reissued so many times. It was first published in 2004.
Right. And being reissued is because you had to add more modern topics like internet and social media and
I
things.
wish they would let me know. They keep sometimes I'm allowed to sort of like tinker with the introduction, but no, they just say if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And it is frustrating because we dream about what's happening currently in our lives, and I would love that opportunity. So if you're listening, HarperCollins, next time, let me do some more. But
she's brilliant. Let her do her thing. Okay.
Well, they they're very happy with how it's doing. It's currently in Barnes and Noble and Costco, and
It could be,
there's nothing else out like that.
Second edition. That's all. You have to mold with the times. But let's all right. So let's get back right up and start with number one. What are dreams?
Dreams are those stories, images, feelings, sounds, and sensation that play out behind our eyes when we're fast asleep every night. Scientists have researched them, and they still don't know why we have them, although there are many theories. There are, of course, those who believe they are random and meaningless firings of the brain just offloading. But anyone who has ever had a dream come true, met a departed loved one in their dreams, or had an intuitive hunch via their dreams, or their dreams have led to remarkable inventions and creativity, will beg to differ. And I'm delighted to say that in recent years, the science of dreaming is more and more pointing to the fact that we don't know why it happens, but it's really good for your brain. And it's very healing and great for stress relief. And clear dream recall is a sign of an active brain, healthy brain. And more research needs to be done. But as I'm saying, the delightful thing is that dreams are no longer dismissed as pseudoscience nonsense. They are being studied for their holistic healing powers. And I love that.
I know, that's fabulous. Honestly, because we're becoming more spiritual, as in general, so a lot more things are being accepted now that weren't, before. So why not this dreams? I mean, because everybody has them. I was told a long time ago that, if you don't dream, you die, like your brain will cease to function.
With dreams and gratitude for them on your mind is a sign you're truly alive. That's what I say. It's something to celebrate. It's something beautiful to wake up to every morning. But if you have poor dream recall, I hope we go into that later. I don't want anyone to panic because it's totally normal. There are things you can do to iron that out as well. But it is a gift. It's a priceless gift from your intuition, your inner psychic.
Right.
It breaks my heart that people just dismiss them and don't ponder their meaning, because there is meaning there.
I know, and there's so many things I want to talk about on this, and just right here, it's like the jumping off point. I'm like, my brain is going crazy. But I mean, there are ways that you can enhance your remembering of dreams.
Yes, you most certainly can. The first thing is to actually think about dreams during the day and take them seriously. If you have been conditioned to believe, but whether by parents or carers or school, that dreams are random and nonsense, if that's your conditioning, you've got to first, change that and start thinking, well, maybe, this crazy lady from the UK has got a point, and maybe my dreams have something to tell me. Once you make that flip in your mind, it's much easier to because where your attention and your value goes in the day, that's what shows up at night in your dreams, So where your attention goes is important. In fact, anyone listening to this podcast right now, I hope they wake up with vivid dream recall, simply because we're talking about dreams. So it's on their conscious awareness, right? So that's the first thing. Think more about dreams. Believe that they have something to say. Look into the research as well. You will be surprised what sleep research and dream research is now saying about how important dreams are for your well-being. So please do that. The next thing is, before you go to bed, tell yourself you're going to have a dream and you're going to remember it in the morning. Your brain's very plastic just before you go to sleep. When you wake up, whether that be in the night or first thing in the morning, don't immediately jump out of bed. Just stay there in the position that you woke up in. Don't change position, with your eyes closed for a while, for 1 or 2 minutes. That's all I ask. And the reason for that is any kind of movement will immediately
dismiss your dream,
wake your brain up too much. So, and when your brain's fully awake, it's the world of conscious reason and logic, and ego.
Right.
And unfortunately, dreams belong to a different state of consciousness, when you're unconscious, and intuition and creativity reign supreme, and they don't stand a chance. The reason and logic are too dominant. So immediately reason and logic will impose it's their way or the highway, dreams go away. So just mirror that dream state for a while longer. You will find that usually about 90 seconds, something will bubble to the surface. As soon as it does bubble to the surface, please write it down, because I hope you've also, I should have said that.
You have a dream dictionary, a dream journal next to your bed, and it's also good to have this next to the bed. You want to look up the meanings of whatever.
People think, oh gosh, another to do. That's so much hard work. And our dreams sometimes are so detailed. It's like you've got to write a novel in the morning. And I really don't want you to think that. Just no more than like a minute, if that, 30 seconds. Write down the key words. Do not go into all the details. Write down the location, the person you dreamt out, an object. Just write out 3. If you just write down 3 things you dreamt about, that is enough, more than enough food for you to ponder on. There are some, you get dream overcrowding. There's so much detail in a dream. You can't, it's just too much. And actually, I love that, because it shows how inside you are so infinitely creative. Your intuition has so much it wants to tell you. It gives you dream overcrowding. But basically, when you start dream work, just stick to 2 or 3 key words. Enough. Like, I dreamt of a giraffe, I saw a tree, and I saw my cousin. Those 3 words are enough. Write them down. Then in the morning, go about your day. The morning's not a time to dream with decode, because you've got to get on with your day. We live on this earth for a reason. The evening is the time to reflect. So when you get those 3 words, do some brainstorming around them. What's the first word that comes into your mind when you think of a giraffe? Is it reaching taller? Is it seeing the bigger picture? Your personal association matters more than anything. Exactly. If nothing comes after that personal association.
So this is like, I mean, it's not the only thing. It's
generic associations.
Right.
The other thing, sorry, you asked about dreams. Sorry, I go on a tangent. So basically, writing down your dreams is important, because you will forget them. And decoding them also, because the more attention you pay to your dreams, the more likely you are to recall them. Also during the day, pay attention to your diet. Vitamin B is very important for dream recall. That's a practical tip. Your sleep hygiene matters. You need good quality sleep. You need to go through sleep is very restorative for your body, right? And the best way to have a vivid dream is to have a great night's sleep.
And shut up all.
And wake up as well. Avoid that alarm. Remember what I said about jolting into reality too quickly.
Yeah.
If you must have an alarm, nature sounds or something that vibrates on your wrist, something very gentle. But better still, train yourself to wake up naturally. That's how we're supposed to wake up, and you can do that. During the day, read fiction. It's a great way for that dreaming part of your mind to come alive. There are many studies showing that not only are fiction readers more empathetic and compassionate, but also there's more dream recall. Similarly, video gaming, a spot of video gaming is really good for dream recall, as long as it's not just before bedtime, because you'll be wide awake, or you don't get addicted. So those are things that you can do during the day that, if you consistently do them over time, you will find those dreams come back, because your dreams want to come back. They don't want to be forgotten. And that's the theme of my work. Your dreams are your inner psychic, your intuition, best friend, crying out for your attention night after night. And sometimes when dream recall is poor, it's because they've kind of got demotivated, because they've been trying to get your attention, but you're not noticing it. And rather like a friend that you constantly text you and you never really reply. That's how you're talking a bit.
Don't ignore it. Don't ignore it, because it will haunt you. Now, I've heard a number of different things. Like one was, if you remember your dream, then it's more a message than just a dream. So definitely pay attention to that. The other thing is like, why is it that you never remember the beginning of the dream? It's always like the middle and the end.
Because dreams are fragments. You go right into the action, right? Because in the dream world, the only thing missing is logic and reason. Because a beginning and a middle and end is linear time. It's how we think, and of course, when you awaken spiritually, you start entering this timeless vortex where past, present, and future merge. Okay. And the dream state, you're getting very close to that. It's like a portal. So of course, it's not going to give you a logical order. that's too much of this world. This is a different state of consciousness. They do things differently there. Right. And the middle of your dream story will contain the past and the future. It's timeless, all happening at once. And that is the beauty of the dream world. Everything is packed in the moment that you're dreaming.
I watched Inception this morning, and it just was like, oof. I started at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm just like, very difficult movie to follow, because they're going into dreams and into other people's dreams, and dreams within dreams within dreams within dreams.
Christopher Nolan as well. He's a very vivid dreamer, the director. And many of his movies are inspired by his dreams, and this was inspired by his love of lucid dreaming. That's knowing you're dreaming when you're dreaming, which is like the holy grail of dreaming.
Right.
I explain.
I've done that a few times, just not many times, but a few times, and it's like I would almost be waking up, and it's like, no, I'm dreaming, and I want to know how it ends, and I'm going to go back into this dream, because I need to know what's around that corner or whatever, and I remember that, a few times, but it's
wonderful when you are able to do that. Children are more able to do that for the simple reason they are able to live outside logic and reason and suspend disbelief. As we get older, we become more restricted by the demands of logic and reason and practicality. So we lose touch with that delicious ability it's perfectly fine to talk to dead people. Flowers can sing, of course they can. That's the childlike mentality. And in a way, psychic and spiritual awakening is going back to that state and understanding that, you don't have to be bound by logic and reason when you're connecting with your inner world. But the joy of a lucid dream is that you get to influence what happens within the dream. And that's so powerful, because you are shaping your unconscious, your deep down beliefs. And why does that matter? Because what you believe deep down is what you tend to attract. And in waking life, we often don't acknowledge what we truly believe, or we deny it or repress it. Like, we can do our affirmations in front of the mirror saying, I am enough. But if we don't truly believe it right deep down, it's not going to happen. We won't. But dreams will show you your state of mind honestly and say, well, this is where you need to work. This is where the love and compassion for yourself needs to grow. You don't really believe in yourself. Let's work on that. Dreams don't lie. They show you what you truly believe. Lucid dreaming is powerful then, because in the lucid dreaming state, you can empower your unconscious. You can start filling in the gaps and the holes, so that when you wake up, you've experienced it unconsciously. And if you've experienced it unconsciously, your brain doesn't know the difference. It's happened. That self-belief is forming. That's why dreamscaping also is great. Before you go to bed at night, setting the intention, what you dream about. You're kind of
we do that with Shaylee all the time.
We've talked about that with you as well, Mary Jane. It's like, you want to know your spirit guides, or you want during the day when the spirits are trying to connect with you. I mean, it's easier to connect with you during sleep, because your mind isn't focused on all the daytime rituals. So, you're sleeping, you're more open. They're going to come, they're going to give you messages, or they're going to try to wake you up and such. But Mama D has a thing here, and I want to kind of catch up on people's comments here. So Mama D, my co-host, that is actually at work, but she says, I have a friend that believes this life is a dream, and when we sleep, we're actually in the real life. What do you think of that thought?
It's not Ruzberg, is it? I mean, yes, there's a lot of thought about this, that it is actually an illusion. And actually, if you spend a lot of time with elderly people, the older you get, the more they say life feels like a dream. That all the memories merge, and I'm I don't know the answer to that, but I do encourage people actually to, once they get familiar with dream decoding, to apply the same principles to their waking life. And that's magical, because it means every person you encounter, everything you interact with, experience, has a deeper meaning. Like in the dream state, you have this dream symbol. And then you go beneath the surface, like a poet or an artist, looking at the metaphors, the analogies, the symbolism. Right. Why not live your own life in the same way, so that you take nothing for granted? With everything you encounter, why is this here? Why is it? Because if it was happening in a dream, you'd be thinking, why did I dream that plant was there. You know,
because you want to move your room around, and you want that.
Yeah. Age old, you know, it's this famous ancient quote, isn't it? Am I a human dreaming I'm a butterfly, or a butterfly dreaming I'm a human? What a thought!
Right.
But if you believe you're a spiritual being, there's no difference, because when you connect with, awaken spiritually, everything is continuous. The dream state is just a continuation of who you are. You don't become a different person.
This has definitely been proven, because what you touched on at the beginning, one of your first statements, was when you're dreaming, there have been many artists and many creative people. So they're thinking of artwork and they create these masterpieces. They're thinking of composing music and come up with masterpieces, you know, and it's stemmed on a dream. So yeah, I mean, there's like, you know, proof positive right there.
Well, Salvador Dali, for example, he describes his artwork as a photograph of his dreams. You know, Paul McCartney, the song Yesterday, you know, some very, very famous examples of remarkable works of art, music, and literature that came to the artist in a dream. And the first sci-fi novel, Frankenstein, for example, Mary Shelley, that was a dream. And you can tell when you're reading it, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You know, these immortal stories which have stood the test of time, and inspired other kind of imitation stories ever since. They all started with dreams. And Einstein, you know, can we not, you know, with Oppenheimer being so huge at the moment, you know, the theory of relativity, vision in a dream. And I tell you why, in the dream state, again, going back to the theme that's been running, there is no logic and reason. So the scientist can make creative connections between things that they never would do in their waking life, because reason and logic would say, you can't do that. You can't associate this with that. But in the dream state,
you can do anything.
You can take that leap of faith, because your intuition is unchained and it isn't restrained as it will be in waking life. And that's why dream work is so powerful.
It is very powerful. Sorry to cut you off, but what is your interpretation of intuition? What is your definition of that?
Intuition, again, I think it's our inner psychic. That's what I think. I think we all have an inner psychic and a therapist. And I think dreams are our nocturnal intuition. We sense our intuition when we're awake through hunches, gut instinct, often through our body. I think that's how intuition speaks to us in our waking life, through bodily sensations like dry mouth or butterflies in the stomach, increased heart rate. And I think a lot of us also sadly ignore our inner psychic speaking to us through our body. The body is it's very predictive. And I think tuning into your body, if you want to increase your intuition, is one of the most powerful way to do that. Also through your feelings. And that's during when you're awake, it's your intuition and your feelings. Listen to your feelings rather than your thoughts, because I believe thoughts come before feelings. But when you fall asleep, thoughts are more ruled by the logic, the self-talk we have. But when you fall asleep, of course, intuition speaks through your dreams. It's your soul, for want of a better word, spirit, essence, spark of life. That spark of life, if you've ever had the privilege of sitting with people when they pass, it's when the light goes out of their eyes, but you know that their body is no longer them and they've gone somewhere. People who have loved and lost people in their lives will know what I'm talking about here, that when you lose someone, there comes a moment when you just sense that they haven't gone, they're alive somewhere.
Yeah. And that was the other thing too, about Gina was saying that she had a dream about both of her deceased parents this morning, and it seemed real but weird at the same time.
That's a night vision. I call those an afterlife dreams. I mean, I think that's a book waiting to happen for me, actually, because I get so many people writing about them. And there's also research on them to show that people who do have afterlife dreams tend to cope better with the grieving process. It's very healing and cathartic. It's not, contrary to what you may think, when you wake up, you don't think, oh, I wish that was real. It's not. You feel like I've connected with them on some level. They haven't gone. They're with me. They're alive.
Right, and that's comforting.
Yeah, it shows that death ends a life, not a relationship, and that's basically the stage of the grieving process when you can start thinking of a departed loved one with a smile
Excuse
or
me.
a tear, with a smile before a tear. And afterlife dreams can help you do that. They're very, very healing.
Right, right. And then also, okay, Tanya, I'll get to your statement there in a second. And Mary Jane, you might have something to do with this. As when you said as children, they're more likely to lucid dream. I had a recurring dream as a child about this white house. Like I can describe it to a T, like to the fact that I, walking in the door, the long hallway, the columns here, all this was like so much furniture on this side, and all this was rooms over here. There were statues. People were using these as like walkways. Okay, like the door would open, and this is the strange part. Okay, it was Robert Redford. Okay, came out with a trail of what do you call those? The Boy Scouts. They were touring the building, and he was their tour guide. And I'm just like watching them go by. So I don't know what that's all about. But I remember going into the kitchen. I never went up to the second floors of the place, but always on the first floor. And I was in that house so many times. And honest to God, a couple of years ago, since I've moved to Pennsylvania, there's one street that have these massive houses in it, and it's this giant white house. And I'm looking at it going, oh my God, that is like the house of my dreams. The only thing it's missing is the very front. There was a flag, and there's no flag at this house. But then there was a fox running through the yard. I'm like, I was driving with my friend Marion, okay, and I'm all about the spirit guide. My spirit guide is a fox. And I'm like, stop the car. She slams on her brakes. She was just taking me up there to show me these beautiful houses, that are up there. And she had no clue. And I'm like, this is the house I dreamt of as a child. I really wanted so desperately to go up to the house and ask, can I please just see the inside of your house? I want to know if this is the house I dreamed of as a child.
I think it was because, oh my goodness, so much to unpick there. Where can I begin? Again, there's a growing body of evidence to suggest that dreams have precognitive elements. And that's why I encourage people again to write down keywords from their themes and to look back several years, because sometimes you can see how a dream actually has foreshadowed something. But the only way to know that is to write down your dreams. It's no good thinking, oh, I remember because
I drew pictures of this house and everything. I was an artist, so I would draw pictures of it all the time because I just remember so vividly red tiles in the kitchen. I remember everything about it.
It's a PowerPoint, you meeting or passing the house of your dreams. This is a really, really key moment in your life, suggesting that you are on the right way. You are on your track, whatever it is. I mean, that's the precognitive interpretation, suggesting, Gina, and especially with the fox, because that's your spirit guide, being there too. What meaningful coincidence, as Jung would call synchronicity. But I reference Jung again because you can also interpret the recurring dream when you're a child from a psychological, purely self-help perspective. I would think this is more precognitive. That's the spiritual one. But to look at the meaning of the house, according to Jung, the godfather of dream interpretation, the house is the self, isn't it?
Okay. Yeah.
And all the rooms are aspect of you. Interesting that you mentioned that the kitchen, the place of nurturing, of sustaining. I mean, the kitchen is always called the heart of the house. That's the way you focused on. So that's very interesting. And the fact that this dream reoccurred shows that it's super, super important for you to know the message and the meaning of that dream. So whenever people have recurring dreams, I say, please spend time reflecting on it, daydreaming on it, because there's really powerful stuff for you there. And as soon as you understand the message of that dream, it won't come back. That's the purpose of recurring dreams. It's using the power of repetition to try and make a point. And for some reason, you're not quite getting it in your waking life. Well, of course you wouldn't because you're a child. Right. But I'm sure right now. But if that White House reappears in your dreams, it's taking you right back to lessons you needed to learn as a child about, maybe giving the self-care and the nurturing in the kitchen, not so much to others, but to yourself. That's what I would say. And it's about, you need to be the kitchen, the heart for yourself.
Okay.
The house is all about you.
Okay.
And maybe you're thinking the kitchen is to feed others, but it's actually saying you need to to give some of that self-care, those nutrients to yourself now, Gina.
Wow.
That's really important if that dream came. But as a child as well, also it was encouraging you to focus on your own inner world, what you needed for your personal growth. And interestingly, Robert Redford came in there. It's something you needed for your personal growth. So you've got to think about, if I dreamt, whenever I dream of a celebrity, I love it because there's so much online these days, and I try and find out what's going on with them.
And it's funny because all my boyfriends were blondes, blondes, blue eyes. My late husband was blonde, blue eyes, and and really kind of looked like Robert Redford. And then
this is synchronicity, actually, because I watched a really sort of tedious film the other day where it was just him in it. This is so amazing. You're mentioning Robert Redford. It was literally 2 days ago, and we had no idea we had this conversation. That's why I say waking life is like a dream. And it had Robert Redford, and I think it was something where he was adrift at sea. Okay. And he was like almost like in his 80s playing it, and it was just him. And I remember being mesmerized because you kind of knew where it was going, and I wasn't quite sure why I was watching it, but I couldn't.
Now you know.
I couldn't stop watching it, and even though at the end I said, "Well, that's 2 hours. I'll never get back," but
but now you know why.
I needed to be connected with the spirit of Robert Redford because I was going to talk about it to you. I love these things. It's
amazing. It is amazing. But why I was talking about like Mary Jane too. Now she's got kids, and especially like Logan. Logan, does he have dreams that he remembers? I just really wanted to know that.
He doesn't talk about them very often. Shaylee has been, but when I was a kid, I was actually going to say I would lucid dream constantly, and it was usually if I was in danger in my dream, I was able to levitate and get away from it, or like it was, and I wasn't afraid to do it. But so like if something was going to get me, I was able. What's that?
Astral projecting?
I don't know. But I knew that I was dreaming. Like I was like knowing that.
I'd love actually to go into schools and give people talks and workshops about basic dream decoding, to give them a sense of their own inner power. And with your dreams, Mary Jane, how wonderful that you had these lucid dreams, and I hope they return. And I'm going to reference a culture called the Sonoy culture, where children from a young age are encouraged to lucid dream and share their dreams with the elders of the tribe. And for the simple reason that they believe that if in the dream state you can meet your fears, fight and win against a predator, you've had a role rehearsal. So that if it happens in real life, you've been there before and you have the skills. Isn't that wonderful? And the wonderful thing about the Sonoy is that the incidence of depression and crime in the teenage range is nil. And is it because of the emphasis they have on dream work? Because from an age of 3 or 4, children are encouraged first thing in the morning to share their dreams with the elders of the tribe and to have happy dreams, because happy dreams, happy life, that they believe the two go together. And if you have fears in your dreams, don't run away from them. Show compassion, understand them, and grow wiser.
Right.
It's like
the kids that are afraid of something in their closet or something, because they had a dream about that. That's
because the adult world's scary, and so what happens in the dream state? These are all symbolize these fears. Like suddenly a parent may show a shift in character or lose their temper, and that's scary for a child. So therefore, they're going to go to sleep and dream about monsters, which is this kind of symbolic reenaction of their parent transforming into something they didn't recognize and don't know how to deal with. Things like that. And it's very cathartic and helpful. But I don't want children to fear their dreams. I want children to love their dreams and their nightmares, because all of them are transformative gifts once you just have few tools to work with them. And I really think that it could be play a role in helping children feel empowered. That the rates of depression among young people is very strong at the moment. It's rising, and a lot of that to do is the external focus on your appearance, social media, how you appear to others, the material stuff, all the boxes you've got to tick. And I wish there was more emphasis on having a rich inner
The
life.
relationship and
dream work can do that.
communication.
So
Right.
any
And
parent
that's why
listening-
she does homeschooling. She does this and that.
Oh,
She's very
yeah.
connected with her
that's another
kids.
thing, Christy. I did that for my children.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes, and when you were speaking about the dreamscaping, Shaylee and I, so for a little while, Shaylee was having nightmares, and in order to help her go to sleep, we would meet at a castle in France, and it's like the Chenonceau. And I would describe what I was going to be wearing, and she would describe what she was going to be wearing, and like we were going to meet there. That was like our nightly ritual, was to just do that. Like,
Yeah, dreaming is beautiful, Gina and Mary. That is beautiful. It's you know, with family members, loved ones, to meet in a dream. When that happens, it's just mind blowing. It's so exciting.
Mm-hmm.
You think, my goodness, I'm so much deeper and more mysterious, and there's so much about me that I don't know. To do that in the dream state.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so glad. And any parent listening, please get your children to talk to you about their dreams, because it's a very safe way also to talk about what they're frightened about.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you have some basic understanding of dream decoding, you can actually help them. Because if their dreams are filled with anxiety-ridden themes and certain recurring characters, you know, if you connect the dots, you can actually learn a lot about their waking life that they might not want to share.
Yeah.
And you can then put tools in place to help them cope. You know, as I said, being a child these days is scary. The world is not easy at the moment. It never has been.
Yeah.
But right now there are a lot of it's difficult time for children at the moment, I think.
Yeah, it's tough. It's you know, to look a certain way and to act a certain way and to wear certain things, and you know, you gotta have these shoes and not those shoes. And
Yes, exactly.
it's
Exactly.
ridiculous.
But you've always got your dreams, and you know, sometimes life can be unfair. People can be cruel. Things can go wrong. You can get your heart broken. You can get rejected. That is life. I don't know why it happens, but it does. But if you have
lessons learned, you need to. I need you to learn all these lessons. I mean, if it was everything was smooth sailing,
you wouldn't learn and grow. Exactly, you do need them. But also, when these things happened, if you have a rich inner world, if you know, I've got my dreams where I'm going to counsel myself, I've got my inner therapist, you feel so much stronger and better able to cope.
right?
It's terrifying. If these things happen, though, and you haven't got any sense of your own inner space, your own inner world, that is when you are like a reed blown in the wind.
Mm-hmm.
And you can crumble. Having that inner strength is more important than anything. It's more important than having loads of money, the ideal career, the ideal relationship, because you can have all those things as we see played out on the world stage. People who have everything, the looks, the money, the popularity, the talent, and yet they're
They have a shitty life. Excuse my language. You know,
they're unhappy because they haven't done the inner work.
Do you
come first?
Do you have a book on like a parent's guide to helping your children with their dreams?
I haven't, but now you've given me the idea.
I want a copy.
So many. Hey, you'll be able to whip that out in no time the way you read.
Because I was thinking when you were speaking, like I would love my children to hear from somebody, an expert on that, and how to manage that.
Oh, I just to deal with their dreams and realize that if they can understand their dreams, Mary, and fall in love with their dreams and experiment with their dreams, they have that confidence to go in.
I would love that for my kids.
Yeah, they've got that inner, you know, that whatever happens around me, it's not phasing me kind of attitude. I've got my inner world, you know. I've got my own back. And that is the secret to a fulfilling life. Having your
I would love that.
But I want to, that would be great. And start, you know, make your notes. Write 2 books now that you're coming out with because of this show. And so far, and we still got a ways to go. But Tanya here, she said, lucid dreaming is helpful. I wanted to ask you, Tanya, to put in here, is it helpful for the visions that you have? Because this girl, she has like on the clairs, when you're clairsentient, clairaudient, whatever, she sees visions of things in the future, but bad things, you know, like tragic things. So I don't know if this lucid dreaming is helpful with you to deal with those things.
May I just talk about having negative dreams and worried that they're going to play out? There'd be precognitive premonitions.
Right.
what I want to stress is that your dreaming mind will always want to raise you up, lift you up, and energize you. If you come across a dream interpretation which is negative and says, oh, somebody's going to die, disaster's going to happen, it is the incorrect interpretation. Again, I'll explain why. Your dreams showcase to you your current mindset. And the reason they are precognitive, because it shows that if you don't change that mindset, this is the future, the potential future waiting for you. And that's why nightmares are transformative gifts, because if you wake up and you feel, oh my goodness, I felt awful, I hated that, you have the opportunity to course correct the future you are currently attracting with your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. Change your mindset and it won't manifest.
This is Carol.
Really?
Having said that, there are rare cases, extremely rare, when people do have premonitions of global events, world events. Again,
Yeah, I mean, like plane crashes and things like that, and then they happen.
And
so,
you know, you can do what you can. If you have a clear vision that you think something's going to happen, you can report it anonymously, and I encourage people to do so. If you have a clear vision that you think a friend's going to be involved in an accident, you could tell them, but do it lighthearted and say it's a potential future, but I had this. That's all you can do. You have to let go of what you cannot change.
Right. So that would be a lot to deal with, you know,
Yes.
psychologically, you know, like
yes,
these things.
It's not your fault if you've had a dream, and it's not your fault if you've had a dream and it plays out. It's not your fault.
Like the Nostradamus that had all those predictions, you know, and wrote them down, and then it's like they're still happening today.
But I do believe the future is fixed, but it can also be changed. I use the analogy, if I'm holding a ball in my hand and I want to drop that ball, that the future of that ball is on the floor, but at the last minute I can change my mind and catch the ball. I'm changing the future of that ball. Do you understand? So it's like the sliding doors movie. That, you know, that's why our present actions, to focus on our present actions, in every moment you are creating potential futures. If you believe in the metaverse, there are the billions of potential futures out. You know, if you hadn't gone to that school, if you hadn't met that person, what life would you have led? If you'd missed that train, if you'd got that train, you know, this is a wonderful way of thinking about life. And I'm sure Marvel and you know, the metaverse is fascinating, but it also gives you a great awe for the present moment, to know that the present moment is creating the future. And often it's this very surprising future. You know, we don't know what the future holds. But dreams showcase potential futures, but the power is always in the now and what you're thinking, feeling, and doing right now. And the majority of the time, you don't dream about other people, you dream about your own mindset. The only exception to that is with loved ones or people you see literally every day. I do believe that when you dream about them, it's slightly different. It's more about something going on in their life that your empathy is picking up on. But if you dream about a random colleague or people you see on the television, it's basically what that random colleague or that celebrity, what aspect of your personality are they symbolizing that you need to either understand better, develop, or deal with in some way. Right.
And that kind of correlates with this. Nat says, I used to have dreams of swimming with dolphins constantly and wake up so relaxed. I mean, is that
your dreaming mind is gifting you with one of the most beautiful dreams. And I wish more people would message me about dreams with dolphins and whales and flying and feeling happy. It's distressing that, you know, almost all our dreams tend to be anxiety related. So if you've had a dolphin dream, your dreaming mind is almost like saying, well done, you. This is my gift to you. I love you, and you should love yourself. And in spirit, you are loved. Go with the flow. I mean, also do a load of research about the symbolism of dolphins, the spiritual, psychic symbolism with them. There are books about them. Become a dolphin expert, because your inner dolphin wants you to learn the lessons of this gloriously intelligent spiritual creature. There's a message for you in there. The dolphin wisdom is the way forward, because you woke up feeling relaxed. So your dreaming mind is basically making it so easy for you, saying, look, live like a dolphin. apply their life.
Well, they always said dolphins are connected with, ethereal beings and everything
so
too.
intelligent and loving and trusting, though, as well. They are very trusting. So if you are like that, just be careful, because sometimes people can take advantage. As
Yeah.
you know,
Always.
Yeah.
Mankind, the scourge of the earth. But Wes says, I dream a lot about people who have passed.
Good. It's connecting you to those people, and reminding you, as I said before, death ends a life, never a relationship. The relationship you've had with people you've loved and lost never dies. I'm going Titanic now. The heart does go on. And it's only when you've lost a loved one that you understand that. And you can actually have conversations with these departed loved ones in any moment. And a dream is another conversation with them, and a kind of a reassurance that, if you, whether you believe in an afterlife or not, that connection meant
Wes Wes is definitely, he's an investigator, a paranormal investigator. I'm a paranormal investigator. We have a lot of things that we do in the field, so we do communicate a lot.
Absolutely.
So I do think that too. A couple points here, like when we're going on an investigation, and if you have the gift, you know what I mean, you can connect with that spirit that you're going to go talk to. They know you're coming,
Yes.
and even when you walk in the door with the recorder, they'll say your name. They'll say, hi, Gina, hi, whoever, you know what I mean? Because they know you're coming, because you're thinking about it.
That connection, you've opened up a portal. Yes. And I do think we all have that ability, but what you are blessed with, Gina, and the other paranormal investigators on, is belief. The power of perspective and belief is the most important thing for connecting to the afterlife. Because perspective, even science shows us now that the brain is a predictive force. Perspective, the role of the observer, is everything really in our lives.
Right. And we're trying to get proof of this. Okay.
Yes.
So we have our tools. So I have Vortex Ghost Gear, right? Bob creates all this equipment. That's the decorative part of it, but we have a lot of equipment that will, pick up on the afterlife. Now
there's too much data out there. There's too much data now from hauntings, from mediums, etc.
Yeah. But I'm going to show you this is a thermal camera. Okay. That's a box I made. It's an Easy Scan Ghost box that communicates, like that scans the radio waves, communicates now live. But this is a little clip. Right? It's just a minute long. All right. It's a minute of a 15-minute clip. In this 15-minute clip, I got 15 apparitions walking on the thermal camera. Okay. Now,
can I see it?
Person, yes. If it was pointed to a person, we would be orange, yellow, hot. Okay. This is not. Okay, void of any kind of heat whatsoever. All right, so now you can watch this. I was shocked.
Can't wait.
Don't be afraid of that device. It's just so we can hear you talk. We don't want to hurt you. Come on in. Come in. Yeah. Come in. Hello. Hi. Yes, it is. What is it? Are you recording it? Yes. What's your name? You want to play basketball with us? Could you move again? Hello. Keep coming. It's okay. We're not going to hurt you. Right there. Look at. You got a second. Don't be afraid of us. Come in. If that's you, come in.
So see, now that was like the best part of them walking right there, right? So that was 2 of them walking. But the whole 15-minute clip throughout the thing, there was 15 that we counted. We were in a sunken basketball court, okay? We were underneath a basketball hoop on one end. That was a room that was in the center, like a changing room for them. So there's no windows, no doors, no nothing, and there's no one in there. And we're in 5 feet of freaking mud in there too, right? This is an abandoned building. And up above, there are 2 lengths of chain link fence with a walkway so that people could look down on the game. And there was actually an apparition grabbing the fence. You could actually see the fingers grabbing the fence, and it's going like this, watching us. I also have that on that clip. It was mind-blowing.
It is. I mean, as I say, this is data. This happens. And as I said, it is a glorious time now with channels like yours and what you're doing, and it becoming more and more mainstream. There's still a long way to go, but these experiences, which we can now catch on with technology, have been happening since the beginning of time. It's part of the human experience, encounters with the afterlife, mysterious hunches, just as dreams come true. And I believe it's part of the human experience. And I also believe it's actually the norm rather than the exception.
Totally.
Everybody has had, however skeptical, everybody has had a moment in their life. Well, that was a synchronicity. That dream.
I say, I don't believe in ghosts. I don't believe in spirits, but this happened.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And
Everyone has that.
So I work with scientists. This is the funniest thing. Many scientists who do research the role of intuition and the afterlife signs, etc. They say whenever they give a talk at a conference, everybody's sort of like very quiet. But then what happens? They go to the canteen afterwards, and everybody wants to say, "I had this happening." But when it's in the formal setting, they won't share their experiences. However, one-on-one later, when the event's over, and this scientist has come forward with their theories about precognition, sensing the future, etc. It's more like pseudoscience.
We so scratch the surface of this. All right.
Yeah.
We all have our gifts. And I think just like in this life, in our reality that we live in, we all have our people have our gifts. We have our storytellers, and we have our musicians and our artists and our hunters and our gatherers and all that stuff that makes the thing work. It's the same for the paranormal, psychic, mystical community. All those gifts, if people can get out of their egos and take the time and actually work together, you will actually break that code. You can break right through to the other side and know everything, and it's amazing. It's amazing. But the people that can see, the people that can hear, the people that can smell, the people that can do this, all these different things, all the clairs, they all have a purpose.
Yes, I agree. But uniting them all is that role of belief again. Belief is the key.
Yeah.
It truly is the key. And people who say that they've never had a psychic experience or encounter. What's interesting as well, I recently found out, is research is uncovering that if they just go on a simple course of meditation, after a few weeks, it wakes up that intuitive, creative part of their brain which may have been sleeping, and they do start having more vivid dreams and a deeper sense of the mystery of who they are. I think that's fascinating because I believe it's all innate in us. I think we all have in our DNA the ability to have sixth sense, to connect to spirit. But we've forgotten how to use it, and some people have just repressed it so much. But meditation can unlock that.
Yes.
So if you are one of these people who says, I don't remember my dreams, I don't believe, try a course of meditation, because meditation has much science and psychology behind it. You could just do it simply for increasing your focus. But see what happens. See what dreams may come after that course of meditation.
Okay. Yeah, and Mary Jane, she's got, I swear she lives on a ley line. I don't know that for a fact, but I believe it. All right, there's her center hallway in our house. It's like a runway for so many different types of spirits. Some of them that will linger in her house, and some of them will just go right through. But her son is he's like a beacon. I don't see auras on anybody, okay, except for her son. He glows. There's just something about him, so he's going to attract spirits. I know it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shaylee has been now too.
Yeah, and Shaylee is definitely gifted too. And she's gifted. Her husband. I mean, he's seen things, right? He's heard things.
We all have, yeah. Two nights ago, Shaylee and we have this ritual where we play like a music game before bed. And Sean was in the other room. He had fallen asleep with Logan. And we swore like he had gotten up. The footsteps sounded like they came from his room to my doorway and back, and we both heard it. It was as clear as possible. Both of us looked to the point where we got up to see if either Logan or Sean had gotten up, and they were both asleep.
No.
Incredible. And I love the fact that you're speaking about it in the way I love people to speak about it calmly. This happens. There's no fear. There's no panic. There's no why
I mean,
me.
sometimes things are upsetting and a little unsettling, but
There's always a reason.
all of my life.
It's like a mystery you have to solve. It's like Scooby-Doo. All right. You have to solve the mystery, right? In order to help that spirit go on to the next realm. And then it's like it's another realm, another realm, another realm. It's not only one paranormal realm. There's not only one realm on that other side of that veil. You know what I mean?
No,
like
we have no idea really about
you have no clue. That's what I was saying. We just scratched the surface of all these.
I think they're busy on the other side as well. A lot of reason people say, well, I don't sense anything. I think on the other side, the learning's even more intense. There's so much to do. And so
exactly. You know, do you want to be a spirit guide? Do you want to, you know, do you
want
want
to come back again?
You know, but I mean, I always say it like this, like a ghost is someone that passed. All right. And they might have unresolved issues here or big fear. Okay. Yeah. They don't want to cross over because maybe they won't be forgiven for something bad that they did here. Our job as investigators is to say, hey, you will be forgiven when you go over there. Your family and your soul family and everyone is waiting for you over there. And it's our job to convince them to do that and to you know, go on to the next thing, you know, with no fear. But fear is a big base. And fear, you know, fear comes out a lot in our dreams, right? I mean,
it does. A lot of our dreams are symbolic representations of our fears to help us come to terms with them, understand them, and show them love, actually. Because I think if people could actually, when they have terrifying dreams, is choose a symbol that really scared them in the dream and show it a bit of love, because it's a symbol of an inner fear that probably developed with good intentions to protect them at some point in their life. I mean, a lot of our fears and the negative self-talk that we have actually formed with good intentions. It was to try and help us deal with something in our waking life that was scaring us. So if you could actually approach those fears with a bit more compassion when you wake up, often that's all that fear needs, and it wants to be recognized, it wants to be noticed, and then it will subside. It's when we run away from it. That's why chasing dreams are repeatedly in the top 5 dreams reported. People are always running away from something they can't see or they don't know, or it's a predator or a wild animal. And we're all running away, rather than what we should really be doing is being taught how to go back into that dream and turn around and have a conversation with whatever it is that is chasing us.
Right. I mean, like I face these things in life with no fear. I mean, I shouldn't have a problem with the dreams. But all right, I want to catch up on this again too. Now, Tanya says, my late husband came to me in a dream and showed me the place we enter before we fully step to the other side. He told me, it's okay, you're okay, it's fine, you're fine. I could only hear him, not see him. I was taken back by a gray female spirit. And
your late husband is showing you that he's just a heartbeat away. Because in spirit, there's no concept of time, as we have. As I said, there's no past, present, and future. It's a, you know, trouble is, a lot of us, we think that the world of spirit obeys the same laws as here, and we try and apply all that, and it doesn't. And what your husband's saying, it's all okay.
Yeah, it's good.
It's meant to be. You're here. You know, live your life. I'm just a heartbeat away. It's okay. You know, we're going to be together in a heartbeat, and in the meantime, you have a precious life here to live. And I love the fact that you're taken back by a spirit guide who gray, you know, between black and white is gray, which is saying that the answer isn't in extremes for you. It's finding the middle path between your intuition and what is practical. Go more for harmony and harmonizing the two opposing parts of yourself, because that's where fulfillment's found. It's utterly beautiful. Isn't the dreaming mind beautiful? To choose that color gray, which is about harmony between extremes. And I would suggest, you know, you find that harmony when you listen to music you love, because the logical part of your brain is making sense of the notes, but the intuitive and creative part is dreaming. So for a moment, those two parts of you are in harmony, both doing the job they're meant to do, but not disagreeing. So much in life, conflict is when the rational part of ourselves is violently in disagreement with the intuitive, and vice versa. So you've got to find more ways. And I say listening to music you adore is one way to do that, as is walking in nature, spending time with your pets, all these things where the logical side knows what it's doing and has a task. so does the creative, and they just walk together without beating each other up.
Totally. Now, Wes says, does sometimes you believe in something so much that your mind actually creates something that isn't really there?
Yes, that's why you need to be careful where you take your thoughts and your beliefs to. We have choice in what we believe. And yes, you can see that sometimes people can create, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And I have seen that happen time and time again when people allow their fears to grow a life of their own. But the good news is you have choice over what you think and what you feel and what you do. Most of us think we haven't got choice. These things just happen. Fears just happen. No, they don't. You allow what you let them in. You are the manager of your thoughts and feelings and actions. So be careful what you think and what you feel and what you do. It is the
so put positive things in your path as opposed to focusing on the negative. And I know a lot of people that love to focus on negative and drama. I'm telling you.
But I tell you why, because it's lazy.
Oh,
In the role of, it puts them in the role of victim. Oh, these things happen to me, and we all kind of want to be like told what to do or have other people sorting us out. And the challenge of our lives is to realize that we are captains of our own ships. And again, that's where dream work can help you. It can start making you understand how much of a role you have in what's going on in your unconscious, and how much you can do to sort yourself out and feel empowered from the inside out rather than the outside in.
I like that a lot. So Wesley also is like following up with this. And what does it mean? What does it mean when some people only dream in black and white?
It just means that that's how you prefer to dream. There's nothing wrong or right with it. Again, in the dream world, everything's okay. And if the person dreams in black and white, it could be to do with some medical condition. I say I'm not a doctor, but if you're dreaming in black and white, this is actually, let's look at the positives here. Things are much clearer for you, right? Things are being pointed out in a very, very obvious way. Because when you bring in color, the message gets a bit muddled. So maybe when your dreams come through, they're much clearer and make more sense sooner. So look at that. And also pay attention to what in the dream is black and what in the dream is white, and what is this saying? Is this go, don't go? Is this do, don't do? You've got to work that out. But it does suggest a kind of a very, very logical approach to life. If it's just black and white, you can make magic out of just black and white. There's nothing wrong with your logical approach to life if you do it, if you use it for your own healing and the healing of others. Because sometimes people who are in mind, body, and soul, sometimes they get so bombarded with sensations and images and colors and feelings, it's just garbled. And we sometimes need people who are able to get to the point. As I'm trying to do now, and your dreams are getting you to the point, so celebrate them.
Right. I know. Well, this is the shiny ball show, okay? Because we get carried away often, but we really do try to circle back and reel it back in and make the point. But Gina also just said now, so one time she had a dream about floating away from a circle of light into darkness, and she panicked and woke up.
Oh, Gina, beautiful dream, because floating into light shows that you haven't had to think too much about awakening your intuition and finding bliss and joy. It's just something you should just go with the flow, but you panic and then the darkness comes, right? So it's basically saying inner calm. Inner calm is the way forward, not forcing or straining, because whenever you try and force or strain something to come, it shows you don't believe it's possible. You've got to trust more. Trust that you are enough and that you will attract into your life what is good and right for you. But don't fret too much if you do have periods of chaos when everything does feel dark, because we sometimes need that. You have to be lost before you can find yourself again. And I think life is constantly being lost, learning, growing stronger, and finding yourself again. And then you're going to be lost again.
Dark.
It's infinite, the learning. And
Yeah.
sometimes we always want to be settled and safe and have nothing worrying us, but that's the worst possible thing, because we won't grow and
Yeah.
find
Sometimes it's like
meaningful.
not so much. Okay, just kind of back up a little.
Sometimes it's
I've
great.
learned,
But when you do,
I also
know it too shall pass. Even, when you have these happy moments, when everything feels right, just suck the joy out of it, love it, but know it will pass, just as periods of darkness and despair.
Yep.
They will pass. Life is constant change, and it's, if you are able to rise above both, that wonderful Rudyard Kipling poem, was it Rudyard Kipling, if triumph and disaster, those imposters both the same, you're able to rise above those and just enjoy you can't enjoy disaster, but to get the lesson.
Well, you get the point after. Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
when it happens, it's miserable, but everyone always says, I'm so glad that happened, for the most part.
Yeah, but you learn the most outside your comfort zone. You learn the most, actually. If you look back, your successes, you don't actually learn and grow much from them.
No.
They don't take you far. It's the mistakes, the wrong turns, the chaos. That's where the adventure and the thrill has.
People are afraid of trying new things, right? What's the worst thing that can happen? You fail.
Think of your favorite movies. You know, the ending's great, but you like the journey towards the ending, where the hero or heroine is just absolutely, being challenged and put through it. I love Lord of the Rings. It's the journey to Mordor, isn't it, that catches us. It's not the Shire. We don't want to stay with the hobbits all the time. We want to go to Mordor, because that's I love Lord of the Rings. I'm a huge fan of it. The lead character Frodo at the end, because he has seen so much and experienced so much, he needs to go to.
You'll get a kick out of this, because I tell this often. I did a guided meditation at one point, because it was supposed to be to find your actual human spirit guide, but that not what happened. I was led down the path through the woods, blah blah blah, into the cave. You're supposed to wait in the cave, right? Do I do that? No. I see a little teeny pin light in the wall of the cave. So of course I go over to it. I start picking at it, and it crumbles away. And then there's a field. So I crawl out, and in the field there's all the foxes, and they're going back and forth. They're like herding me to stay right where I am. But on the top of the hill, there was this like an altar, and the being that was standing up there was facing away from me. It was long hair, long robes. And then, I'm thinking it's a person. I'm like, oh, maybe this is my spirit guide. But here's the foxes. This is my introduction to my foxes. Okay. And the foxes are the guard between this realm and the next, right? So that's what they do. They patrol that border, right? But that being, and I drew a picture of it. Right? It turned and it looked at me, and this is what it was, right? And I knew I shouldn't talk to this being. I knew it was so much more than me. What am I compared to this? This knows everything. And it's like at this book, which I did go see further in a different session that I had with a person later. But it was like the craziest thing, but it was that going forward as opposed to sitting there and waiting, But after I saw this, it looked at me. I'm like, not the right time. So I kind of crawled back into the cave at that point. But the whole thing was to introduce me to my foxes and that being, and that being now is more prevalent today, as it's like the holder of my Akashic records.
Wow.
So I know it's insane, right?
It's not. It's absolutely super normal. I love it.
I know. And I tell this story. Some people get it, and some people think, oh my God.
I completely get
it. But it's amazing. But Mary Jane, you were going to say something before.
It was more to do with Gina's thing. When she had said that, I just got a whatever, that it was more of her feeling deserving of that happiness. Like she needs to allow herself to feel that she can have that happiness and she deserves it. And I feel like there might, and I'm super over whatever, but I feel like she panicked and woke up because she didn't think she was able
that's again
to receive that.
the journey to self-worth, well, self-awareness, self-worth, self-love is the journey of all our lives. And some of us, travel that easier than others, but depending on our upbringing. Because as children, we are very receptive to the messages we are getting from our parents and our carers and our peers. And if those have been harrowing or traumatic, we have a lot of work to do. But in that work, we become so much wiser and so much stronger. But it can take time, and all of us, find it in different ways. Some of us find it through loving other people, helping and caring. Some of us find it through our work. Others find meaning through suffering, and able to transform that suffering into a greater understanding of their role in life. But yeah, it is a journey of all our lives. It's our life's work. It's first of all that it starts with self-awareness, and that's where dream work comes in, because dream work is all about understanding yourself better. And when you understand yourself better, you're able to forgive yourself and start moving towards self-care and self-love, which is mighty, mighty powerful. And in time, that self-love will lead to an unshakable belief where you become like Braveheart. They may take our lives, but they never take our freedom. You know that you are stronger than whatever happens to you, and you can survive and learn and grow regardless of externals. And that's, we're all, like walking up and down a ladder. Sometimes we go higher, sometimes we go lower, but in every rung of that ladder, we learn something. And I truly believe, I don't know everything, but I truly believe we're here to learn and grow. Because whenever people talk to me, whether it be mediums or people who had near-death experiences, I've done extensive research into that. The one continuing theme is learning and growth in the afterlife. It's all about this learning experience. And curiosity actually is the mark of a very spiritual person as well. Always wanting to learn, embrace new perspectives, not shutting down and saying this is how it is and there is no other way. That is death. That really is. It's constantly being open and allowing your mind to stretch, embrace, understand new perspectives. And I think that's the theme of all our lives, really. But wherever you are on the self journey towards self-love and self-belief, it's where you're meant to be right now. It's right for you, and you should applaud where you are. You have come this far. You're amazing. Nobody else has had your journey or your path. No, you can't compare yourself to anyone else.
So I have a question. We've talked about dreaming about people we know. I very, very rarely dream about people I know. I tend to pay more attention to those. Again, if I have this ability to, if it's a dangerous situation, if my children were in my dream, they somehow magically disappear. I'm assuming like I'm protecting them. My house, very rarely do I do occasionally dream of my dwelling, but more often than not, it's someplace else. But I very rarely dream about people that I know in this life.
That's because your relationship with them, and you mentioned you were homeschooling, and it is strong, and you don't need to worry about that. That relationship is solid and grounded, and it's there. So your dreaming mind is not actually going to waste its time digging through all that. It knows that you know where you are with the people you love. And it knows that it has faith in you. So it's taking you to other places and wanting you to get to know aspects of yourself that you maybe have buried as a child and need to reacquaint yourself with, or aspects of yourself waiting for you to discover. It's basically saying there's so much more to you than the home and the family. But as important as they are to you, they are your life. There is so much more for you, Mary, out there. Right. And I'm preparing the way, because there will come a time when your children are grown and you will be finding your own way. Trust me, having 2 grown children now, it comes quicker than you think. And that will be your moment to, but at the moment you're being kind of gently prepared to connect with those aspects of yourself that are just waiting out there for you when your role as mother and carer, comes to an end, and as it does.
Yeah, I do have a 27-year-old as well.
27. Oh, she's too young.
Oh no, I'll be 47. I'll be 47 this year.
So young. It's
Why
still young.
both of you, that's why the world spiritual work is good, isn't it? It's the greatest sort of like beauty treatment, I think. Useful. Because
Right?
it is about reconnecting to your inner child.
Yeah.
It is really about
I
connecting.
got a grandson. I got a 5-year-old grandson.
Wow.
He'll be
Oh
16.
my gosh.
Yeah, my kids are 40 and 38.
No.
Yeah.
Wow. It's about staying youthful, isn't it? And I do find that there's a theme again with people who are in this work. They stay very youthful. You know,
For the most part, yes. You know, and I think yeah.
because it's like an adventure again, isn't it? Because the people who don't sort of delve into
adventure.
life becomes like this. How exciting, you know, this flicker of light, you know, what this new day is going to bring, what this dream has, what's my intuition going to say, what's coming next, and how much part of I playing in all this. And you start looking at everything and it becomes an adventure. Life becomes like the dream to decode, as I said.
This show is an adventure to me because I love learning and I love all the books that I get. And I love meeting all these people like you, especially you. Oh my God. Like I said, I could have you on the show every week, but you do have your own White Shore.
It's audio only. I think I think it's such a big time investment, isn't it? Bringing in the visual. I just keep it audio only.
Yeah, the visual. I love doing the visual stuff, and I like creating the because I feel like I get to know you when I'm making a bio video.
Thank you so much. It's lovely. I feel very honored. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. But I do love this, you know, and I do love and this. I want to get so many of your other books. I mean, oh my God, like you don't even know. Yeah, that's so funny. But like this one here is a Dream Dictionary.
Yeah.
The beginning of it, and you say it's important to read the beginning of it, and it is because it's important to understand the dreams, and you go more in depth into what different types of dreams we have, different stages of sleep, how and some of the histories and some of the things that we've touched on today, some of the stories that you've told today are at the beginning of this,
informative
in the forward, and it makes sense to read that first. You know.
Thank you. I tried to set the scene, the dream scene, so that you have a sort of a grounding, but the heart of the book really is the A to Z of symbols, where I simply just gathered the most commonly reported dream symbols. But I do want to point out that these are archetypal, common, generic associations, just to kickstart that symbolic thinking, because a lot of us lose touch with that ability to look beneath the surface, think symbolically. Symbolic thinking is simply one thing meaning another, like a rose, often for people, is associated with love. You know, a cross with religion,
spiders and things.
Yeah, but I do want to point out that it's your personal association that is key. And I always give the example: if you dream of a dog and you love dogs, I love dogs. He's sitting here. It's companionship, it's loyalty, it's unconditional love. But if you are frightened of dogs or had a bad experience, it will mean something very different. So your first port of call is your personal gut instinct. However, we dream of so many things that sometimes it's hard to make those associations. So that's where my dictionary comes in. It can just kickstart that ability. I get how symbolism works. And I always talk about going back to school to your literature classes. When I studied literature, and I compare interpreting a dream to interpreting a poem, where you don't look at the poem literally, you go through it line by line for the symbolism, the assonance, the alliteration, the figurative language, the puns, the pathetic fallacy, you know, when nature mirrors the mood of the dream, etc. So that's how you interpret your dreams, like a night poem to you, all about you.
And it's amazing. Let me show you guys a couple things here. All right. So this is some of the books. All right. So she has encyclopedias. All these things have been translated in over 40 languages too. She really is the go-to, person, especially in England. But you know what? She's going to be that here. No doubt. But here's a lot of the titles. And this is not all of the titles of her books. Okay.
No, my latest one, Empower Your Inner Psychic, isn't that one actually was, I my latest statement of where I am with research into intuition, and it's a result of my collaboration with neuroscientists and scientists. But I try to take out, the real academic stuff and make it, really easy to digest, and do 7 lessons about how to connect to your inner psychic, but backing of science to show, well, I'm asking you to do this because there's a research study that says it works.
What we do in the paranormal, right? We have
so I did that. Empower your inner psychic. And I was very blessed that ITV this morning actually did a whole item on it with me. So I was very, very blessed to have that opportunity to mainstream. I said, I feel so just over the moon, because I've been writing 20, 30 years, and there wouldn't have been mainstream coverage of these topics like that back then. But since the pandemic, there has been a huge resurgence of interest in the inner world, because people feeling powerless with global events have started to reflect and look within. And during the lockdown, when people were furloughed, for example, or couldn't go out, the lockdown dream phenomenon occurred, where people were reporting vivid dreams as never before. And the reason it's so important is because for the first time in dream research history, people went on social media and said, I had a weird dream, was like trending in the top 3. And that's never happened before. I know at 9/11, a lot of people reported precognitive dreams of that happening. Social media hadn't quite hit the stage that it is right now. So the lockdown dream phenomenon has been heavily researched. What was going on? Why were people waking up with these incredible dreams? There are many reasons. You could say the biological reason, well, people were lying in longer, doing what I said, keeping still in the morning. They had more leisurely mornings. They didn't have to rush off with all the to-dos. So they got more REM sleep.
Yeah, it's an awakening too. So it's
but also it was our inner psychic doing what it loves to do. It was trying to offer us answers, problem solve, give us some help and healing during a time of deep crisis. And that's where dreams come into their own. It was a great time for dreams, not so much for the world, but it was a great time for the dreams.
It was a good reset. It really was.
And actually, before that, I was very much an invisible writer. I do prefer to just hide behind the keyboard, even though I preach about going out of your comfort zone. And I hadn't really done much media at all. But then in 2020, I went on Channel 4 over here, ITV and BBC stations.
I did not put that in your thing. There was a whole paragraph on all these things, a huge paragraph on all the shows that you've been on, and I kept that out because I'm going, oh my God, this would take me forever to find all the logos for all those stations.
Oh, thank you.
I was just gonna say, please, just say all the things that you've been on, because when I did put in there was the media go-to, I wasn't kidding, because she's been on so many.
We have Fox, Coast to Coast, Gaia. I'm thinking in the States, digital social media recently, which was big, but also like celebrities like Meghan Trainor. She wanted to do an episode with me for her podcast, and Bella Hadid, the supermodel. She posted the original edition
on TikTok.
She posted the original edition of 20,000 Dreams, because it was originally the Dream Dictionary when it was published. It was a massive hardback. Those are the days when they did doorstop books, and it was 20,000 Dreams interpreted. And she's got the original edition, which is very hard to get now because it's hardback. But then the publisher, with an eye for what publishers do, they look at it purely from a business angle. They made me cut down that book by 2/3, which was very hard, and to make it into a paperback very quickly. And it's that paperback.
See, now instead of cutting back, it should have been 2 books.
I know, but as I say, publishers are still quite cautious in this area. We are talking about the invisible and the unseen, and although it's changing now, and you have dedicated mind, body, spirit publishers like Hay House, etc., all these ones, it's still the mainstream. And I'm still with HarperCollins and Hachette and places like that. They're still quite cautious, particularly as I'm not a scientist, a doctor, or a psychologist. I'm an academic. I mean, I have maybe one of the reasons I've been published is because I had the privilege of going to King's College, Cambridge, to research, where I studied theology, religion, English. But I'm not a medical professional or a scientist. So publishers are still quite cautious in this area. It is changing. The stunning success of books like The Secret and Manifest, which are psychic awakening by just
Mhm.
packaged in a different way. But when you're talking about the straight as I do, dreams or angels or afterlife, there's still remarkable amount of caution in this area. And I just really hope that changes, because what are we frightened of? We've all had these
Because
experiences.
it's because of social media. It is because of television shows like Zach. Zach Bagans, everything's a demon and everything is
Yes.
hor-. You know, it's like, oh please, because that is so the minority and not the majority of everything that we do. Right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
people, because it is Hollywood and it gets ratings, that's
Yes,
why the
yes.
show does so well. Right? Not that he's a bad guy per se, it's just that he's riding on the coattails of the where the media wave is taking him.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, but that's what it is. It's like, and people believe what they see and hear constantly. You know, well, it must be true. If this is on, that show's been on for how many years? It must be true. You know, it's
Yeah.
not. It's
Yeah.
not. Okay, it's not. I'm telling you, it's not. But you know, that's the problem.
Yeah.
You know? So you can use social media for right reasons. You know, you can have shows like this that gets your word out, you know, things like that. The shows that you do, you know, and that is what people need to focus on. That is what people need to put their trust and belief in and back, you know.
But I'd ask anyone listening that at the end of the day, we've all had these mysterious experiences, and right at the end of your life, I've had the privilege of working in hospices. I've written many sort of near-death experience, afterlife books, etc. And at the end of our lives, our inner life is what all we have left. And it's a crying shame that from an early age, we put so much energy and effort into things that don't matter.
Mm.
You know, in that climbing to the top of what ladder, I don't know. Really, at the end of
that invisible one in the corner that everyone's supposed to climb.
that inner world is all we've got at the end, you know, and how we have felt about ourselves and others.
Yeah.
And that what is matters so much more than all the other boxes we think we've got to tick.
Exactly.
I wish children were taught this from a young age. There'd
Oh.
be so much less depression and
But parents like Mary Jane is what's teaching that in the future, and shows like this,
And the book she's going to write.
and the books she's going to write. Yeah, you know, those are the things, the classes that are available for children today, all those things that are bringing us into the age of Aquarius, really, basically.
yes.
We are stepping into that beyond. It's acceptable and therefore should be taught in a school, you know, but it is more
What is
acceptable.
invisible, but it's actually the world of science is starting to do it. It's remarkable. I've met so many scientists now who are paying attention to the role of what is invisible, the inner world, feelings, emotions, intuition, as never before. Whereas this would not have happened 20, 30 years ago. It was all about what can be felt, seen, and touched, you know. And now the role of perspective, what is invisible and unseen, is being taken into account increasingly. There's work to do, but it is happening. And if scientists can do it, so can we.
Exactly. Thank God. Right. That's all I can say about that. But now Gina said she's had near-death experience twice in her life. I've had one. After mine, it's when I hear, this is like when the tone thing started for me. When spirits would come in, I didn't know what it was at first until I got into paranormal investigating. Now I know what it is. But after my near-death experience, it's like, if a spirit comes into the room and it gets too close to me, it's deafening. It's like, oh, please step back. Okay. But it has like a high, medium, and a low tone. If it's a low tone, I'll get a little nervous. A medium and a high tone, I'm not, you know, which is a helpful tool to have when we take people on ghost hunts, because especially people that are new in the field, have never been on a ghost hunt, could be, you know, very vulnerable, open to, like, you know, taking things home with them type things, you know. So I will, if I hear that low tone, I'll be like, and it's from there, over there. Okay? I'll say, let's go this way. You know what I mean? Why don't we go over here and see what's happening over here? and steer clear of that negative. And when the ringing gets high again, okay, but that's what happened to me after my near-death thing. That was a whole thing. That's a cool story too. Gina, I would like to know if something happened to you after yours. Did you, Theresa, have a near-death?
I've never had a near-death experience, but I have been in the privileged position over the years to read so many stories from my readers who sent in their stories about near-death experiences, and to interact with the likes of Dr. Eben Alexander. I keep calling Eben, it's Eben, who I've interviewed many times, and he's remarkably supportive of what I do, and I'm very grateful for his support. He's fascinating to listen to. And also to explore the research into near-death experiences now in depth, and to follow that research. And I've collated a lot of that in my books, and the lessons that we can learn from near-death experiences. And the biggest takeaway is their transformative ability. People come back changed, and for me, that's the biggest evidence that they are proof of life after life, because hallucinations and drug-induced experiences in the mind lying to you, that typically triggers depression and demotivation. Near-death experiences have the opposite effect. These are turbocharged. They change their life. They have a perspective shift. They come back. They've lost their fear of death. They have a joy about them, and it's their transformative power that, for me, is the biggest proof that they are heaven sent.
Exactly. Now this is Gina says, okay, she gets nausea and whirling when a spirit is around. Okay, now I get that, right? And she's empathic as well. Am an empath. I do believe that wakens that empath abilities too, because it heightens all our.
Well, it sounds like Gina's very highly sensitive, as I'm sure you both are. There's again research into highly sensitive personalities, and
a lot of grounding to keep.
A lot of grounding, but what I found, actually, a lot of them actually feel like they're square pegs in round holes for many years, and feel, that the world overwhelms them. But the secret to their healing and growth is psychic training.
Right.
Then they suddenly come into their own. They realize that their empathy, their intuition, their super alertness
is a gift.
Is a gift. And when they realize that sensitive is the new strong, that's when they really go to the next level.
But it is hard to control. She says, yes, a lot of grounding. It is very hard to control, because in women, especially women, in pregnant women, I don't know if a lot of pregnancy heightens everything, right? And it gets our emotions, protectiveness emotions. Like I used to have dreams that people were stormtroopers were coming through my windows to steal my baby, and what is that? It's a nesting thing, right? It's like you got to protect your baby.
It's training you as well. You need to protect that precious life, and it's basically just saying, it's just trying to make you do that more. Dreams like that are just saying, take care of this precious one. This, this matters.
So, as heightened, and it's like I deal with a lot of empathic people, and they're afraid to leave their homes, and it's like, do not be afraid to leave your home. Okay. You don't have to drag everybody else's stuff with you if you do ground and shield, if you do meditate, if you do get it under control. But, you do have to trust that it is a gift. It's a God-given gift. Okay.
It is, as I said, it can be a light for others. We need more. We live in a world now where empathy is in short supply. We hear so much about narcissism at the moment, and empathy is the antidote to that. We need much more of that, but we do need empaths to put their bubble on and protect themselves, and not take on which isn't theirs. That's the biggest challenge, and also to make sense of the bombardment of messages that come through, and to distinguish them from anxiety and wishful thinking, and to know what is truly from spirit.
I'm going to show you this. This is funny because you said narcissism. There is even, speaking of narcissisms, and we're going to have a guest on coming up soon, but sorry, all these books everywhere. My God, there's even a narctionary. Okay, they have a book.
Oh my God,
narctionary. Okay, that's so much how much.
But basically, I mean, narcissism is the death of empathy, isn't it? It's a soul in real trouble, a soul that has emptied itself, probably through childhood trauma and something that happened in trauma. But basically, the narcissist, some people believe they're beyond help, and you shouldn't try and help them.
But a narcissist will always couple with an empath.
Yes, they're like a magnet for light workers, for people who are empaths, because they can sustain them. They feed them constant supply, and it's a terrible codependent dance. And as soon
That's what it is, the dance of the empath and the narcissist.
It's like
is
a dance.
by
Like
Dr. Rita Louise.
Yeah.
Okay,
and
she's
I don't know any empath or light worker who hasn't fallen victim to some form of narcissistic attack. And but the thing is, it actually, if you can transform that experience, as horrible it is, when you've given something to everyone and then you found out what they really are, it's harrowing, but it's an actual gift, because it shows you that you're lacking in self-protection and self-love. Because if you had that, you would have picked up the red flags immediately.
Yeah.
So it's a sign you need to double down again on that self.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one. That's another one that fear comes into play, and people feeling fear of being stuck and fear of,
I mean, there are clear red flags, and I've actually, I've worked with, don't know if you know her, Melanie Tonia Evans. She's a big online, she teaches about this, and I wrote the preface to her book, actually, that she wrote.
Oh, cool.
About how, because I found her because I was finding so many light workers were falling victim to narcissists, and I reached out to her, and she was lovely, and we worked together on things, and still sort of in touch. She's really got a very empowering message for people, because she goes for the spiritual approach, which is what really harmonized with me, because I wanted to refer people who are writing to me to someone who would take care of their spiritual life, and she certainly does. But there are clear red flags to look out for, and once you know those, you can detect them a mile off. But you can only kind of detect them when you've got that self-belief. It is a sign, if you fall victim to a narcissist, that you are giving away your power constantly.
Like a vampire. Yeah.
Like a vampire. And so think of it again like nightmares. It's a transformative gift, a reminder that you need to give yourself the love you seek. Yeah.
True. I mean, you got to do that every day anyway, and because you matter. Everyone matters,
Yes.
And you gotta, like you said before, know your self-worth, and that's a tough journey for people to take sometimes. You know what? I'm looking at this list of questions that we have, and I'm looking at the clock, going, "Oh my God, I don't want to run out of time with you." But talking about our animals, and my animal over here, and Marion, by the way, do animals dream?
Oh, yes, of course they do. And there was recent research actually say they dream about us. I don't know how they found that out. Did they ask the dog or the cat, what are you dreaming of? But maybe the centers in their brain associated with face recognition fired up. I don't know, but it's believed that they dream a lot about us, as well as, running in parks and splashing in the sea or in forests or chasing things. I do. I mean, I believe animals have souls. How
definitely. I absolutely do. But my dog woke me up at 5 this morning. That's why I watched that movie Inception this morning, because my dog came over and he was like, I don't know, he was panicking a little, so I just kind of gave him some loves, and he just nuzzled in and fell back to sleep. And of course, now I'm wide awake. Like, thanks, Biscuit.
The reason I recommend Inception is that those scenes where everybody stops and stares at the dreamer, because that sort of drills down to you that you are actually dreaming your own mindset. And it's like a hall of mirrors you're going in. Symbolically, you're meeting aspects of yourself in objects, everything in the dream is your mindset. It is all about you. And I think that movie captures that really well, that wonderful scene where everybody stops and looks at the dreamer. It's just so amazing.
I know, it really is. It's something you'd have to watch several times to get.
I understand it. Yes, it is right. But it's got Leo in it. How can you not want to watch it?
I know. He was really good in this, and really handsome too. Like he had that.
I love the fact at the end. I hope I'm not plot spoiler here. If you haven't watched it, don't listen. At the end,
it's on Peacock right now.
The spinning top, and if the spinning top falls, it's reality. But if it keeps on spinning, we're still in the dream. And I love the way the movie ends.
I know. I won't give it away. I wanted it to, not going to say it either. Watch the movie, but
because that's a reality check. You know, with lucid dreaming, you need reality checks. Am I awake or is this a dream? And again, if you want to increase the likelihood of a lucid dream, is to start doing that in the day. Every time you do something repetitively, like look at your phone or switch on a light, just stop for a moment and think, is this a dream? Am I putting this light on a dream? Or is it real? And because what happens in the day tends to filter into your dream, sooner or later, that habit you've got into of questioning your reality will happen in the dream state. And when it does, you ask yourself, it's a dream. If it's a dream, something really weird will happen, like you'll grow a tail or you'll fly. And you'll know in the dream, this is a dream, because this doesn't happen in waking life.
Right.
Then you become lucid.
I know I've been woken up like abruptly, and it's been like for a reason. Something's going on in my house. You know what I mean? And I've been warned by my spirit guides and the spirits and the things. I've been 2 books of how spirits interacted with me to save my life. Okay.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah, they saved me from a fire. You know,
the warning. You. Oh my goodness, your inner psychic.
Yeah, but I have woken up, you know, out of a sound sleep to, you know, something happening down in the basement of my house. And I'm like, what woke me up?
Your inner psychic, your dreaming mind, your spirit woke you up. Again, a whole category of dreams, warning dreams somehow knowing something that's going to happen imminently and waking the dreamer up in time to save their lives. And also dreams that have predicted illness as well.
Yeah.
You know, encourage people to go and check out with the doctor. And, you know, and even though there's nothing wrong with them, they go for the doctor checkup and the dream has triggered it. And then they're diagnosed with something that they didn't know they had. And that dream literally saved their life.
Right.
I have had stories about that. These things happen. They happen. And I don't care what the skeptics say. They happen. And they're not random and they're not chance.
Right.
And that happens to people who don't have any prior history of this kind of thing happening, and who are just as incredulous and think, scratch their head and say, I don't understand why this happened. And it did. I'm not lying.
I know, why would you? Right. But that's the thing. Yeah, you don't. And doctors, you just got to find if they're not going to listen to you too, get rid of that doctor and find someone that will, because you know, this is your life. You have to be your own advocate.
Get a second opinion. Always worth doing.
Yep, you do. You're your best advocate. But that is one of the questions on the list here. It's number 19. Okay. Are there some dreams you should never ignore? And that would be one of them.
That would be one of them. And I am, of course, going to say you should never ignore any dream, however trivial or mundane. Every dream is extraordinary, in my humble opinion. But there are some dreams, typically dreams actually involving houses. Because as I said, that's all about the self. Those are dreams you shouldn't ignore. And if a house is on fire in your dreams, pay attention. Tsunami dreams, drowning dreams, falling dreams. There are certain dreams that are so powerful and resonant that you ignore them at your peril, because your dreaming mind is saying you're about to there's something that needs to shift in your waking life. And I'm sending you this really powerful apocalyptic symbolism for a super important reason.
My friend Marion is here, and she's been sitting up to the side. So she came in while we've been doing the show. This is the woman that actually took me on that ride where that house, remember the house I told you about?
Oh.
Yeah. And there was the fox running through the yard. You were the one. Where is that? Do you remember? Yeah. But it's funny that she came in now because she's the one that drove by the house, and I'm like, stop! It's the house of my childhood dreams.
It's all synchronicity. I love it.
It's called the White House. Oh my God!
Yeah,
it's huge.
They say it's a replica of the White House.
Oh, it's a replica. It's like a replica of the White House. Yeah, because I remember the brown thing on the front. The only thing that it was missing, it didn't have the flag. You know, and the flag was in my dreams. And I so want to go to that house. I so want to say, please, can I go in the house? Please.
It'd be great to meditate in front of it, wouldn't it? Because that is, you've been there in a dream. Again, another piece of advice, if there's something in your dream that you've seen and you can safely recreate, go and connect with that, live the dream in your waking life, because, you know, it's a moment for you, a PowerPoint. For example, if you dreamt of a specific tree or color, the next day wear that color, lean against a tree, connect with your dream in waking reality to remind you again that you are a spiritual being having a human experience, that you've been there before in the dream and you're uniting your dreaming state with your waking state. I think it's a very powerful thing to do. I often encourage people to do that, as long as it's safe, because in the dream, obviously, crazy things happen. So
Yes.
safely recreate it in some way. Please do that. Flowers appeared, buy yourself a bunch of flowers, and when you do, acknowledge that you're doing this because of the dream. Give your dream that center stage that they have been craving all your life.
What's the most common dream that you hear about people having?
Well, there is a top 100 dreams which is compiled every year, and I love the fact that there's a dreams chart, and that consistently the number one is usually falling dreams.
Yes, yeah, the wake up too.
Across the world, actually, globally, falling dreams, where you're dreaming and you're just falling. Usually from a great height, and the symbolism of that is often feeling unsupported. But it's how you fall, because you've got to tune into the emotion of the dream. If you're panicking when you fall, it suggests that you do feel unsupported, and you've got to find out why. Typically you're not supporting yourself, but if you're just fine falling, it's just saying go with the flow. But
I've done that going off the cliff and going down and all through the trees.
Falling means that you don't feel you've got any firm foundations. Just think of the symbolism of falling. If that was in a poem and you were asked to write, "Oh, your cat behind you, I love
That's my dog. That's a dog.
Oh,
It's Biscuit. Yeah,
I've got dog envy. That is beautiful.
it's King Biscuit.
Sorry. So the symbolism of falling is feeling unsupported, like the ground shifting, and that there's nobody. You feel like there's nobody who's got your back, nobody's there for you, nothing to grasp on. Again, a powerful symbol. Yes, you have. You've got yourself. You've got your own dreaming mind. You've got your intuition. Use it.
Oh.
Connect to it. That's why it's number one. That's why it's the number one dream.
I love that. I love that there's so much out there about the dreams. And are all your books listed on this TheresaCheung.com?
No, it's just a snapshot. It's just a snapshot of some of my favorites, because obviously I've written so many books. I do have ones that I'm more passionate about than others, and I haven't had time to highlight the ones coming out this year. I've got 3 coming out.
Coming out this year, right? Yeah, I did put that in there as in question mark book. So what are they going to be about? Can you?
Well, the one in April is called Your Cosmic Year. That's with Hachette, and it's my 5th Oracle pack. Actually, I'm very lucky.
We do Oracle cards.
Yeah,
I want to get hers. She has some.
The ones I recommend for dreaming, actually, I love this one. This is actually the Dream Ritual pack.
I looked it up and they're beautiful. I want to get them.
And this is my other 4 packs. I've done my first pack was the Dream Decoder. That's what I love. That was in the Freud Museum. The second one was a Rune pack, and then there was Angel pack. And this is with the same publisher. It's Cosmic Year. Now, this is with Hachette, and they are an art publisher. So the artistic decisions are not made by me, because they're art experts. I just provide the text. So in a way, I love the decks, and I'm very grateful for them, but I don't feel as intimately involved. But this one I was able to, because it's a different publisher, I was able to be involved in the choice of artist and the direction. So it's very special to my heart, because I find it very soothing, and it's how I imagine the world of the dream to be. It's a dream ritual Oracle cards, but all my other 4 decks. The Cosmic Year coming up, with Hachette, that's with a very talented artist called Andrea Davalos, who's award-winning, done designs for Prada and things like that. But as I say, these are more for art lovers.
Are they Amazon?
Oh yes, you can get them on Amazon. It's called Your Cosmic Year, and it's basically how every day of the year you can tune into the numerology, the astrology, the seasons, the moon phase, etc. And then coming out in early September, I have another title with HarperCollins called The Dream Cure, which is about connecting to your dreaming mind for healing and inspiration. So I'm really happy about that. And then the next one, close to Halloween, is called Your Haunted World, where I selected 101 haunted locations.
We'll have to have her come back in October.
I love the cover. I give a basic introduction to parapsychology there, and I have a foreword by Lloyd Auerbach, who's Professor Paranormal. So it's just really, it's a very simple book. It's just my experience.
Are your locations in the UK, or do you
Oh, it's about 50% US and about 50% UK and Europe and Asia. So yes, we
have a Paracon coming up at Penhurst Asylum. We co-host a Paracon in May with Penhurst Asylum.
That's in. That's one of the locations. I wish I'd known you before, and I could have mentioned you. I wish I'd known. I wish we'd connected before.
I know. Well, it's for a reason. Then you can get us in the next edition.
I will.
Penhurst is an amazing, amazing place.
Yeah. Oh, I was just reading the stories behind it. I wish I could have visited all the places in the book. I'm not obviously the UK ones I have, but I can't. The budget wouldn't stretch to flying me out, so I was very much relying on what's out there. But I collated them together, and I kind of divided them into categories of haunting: residual hauntings, demonic. There's a big section of demonic hauntings and poltergeists, and then intelligent hauntings, which, in my opinion, are the most exciting ones, involving mediums and afterlife signs. But the introduction of the book is an introduction to modern parapsychology and where we are at. So I enjoyed writing that very much. I
go broke meeting you. I need all these books. I'm going to have to clear a shelf off just for
Well, I've got a shelf of the translations. Very exciting. Japan, China, France, Spain, Italy, all over Germany. So many, I've got a whole shelf of them. But yeah, I kind of I'm very lucky. I'm very lucky to write about what I'm passionate about. And now, speaking to amazing people like you, Gina, and Mary Jane, and people listening, I'm very blessed to be able to do this. But it's only recent, as I said, the last 2 or 3 years I've gone on podcasts and done my own podcast and talking to the media. Before that, I really much lived my message. I believe that I find it very difficult to promote my books. You may have noticed now I don't enjoy doing that. I don't like. I very much believe that
writing them.
Well, I'm not writing them, but if I believe I put the book out there and the people who need to read it will find it, but my publisher will look at me like that and think you're joking.
I know. Well, you don't know.
I like feeling like I've written a spiritual book. Buy it. It feels so crass.
It's word of mouth.
I find that difficult. So I was very much like that, and I got away with it. But unfortunately, I can't get away with it anymore. So I have to go out there and talk about my book.
You deserve the global recognition. All right, with what you've accomplished. Just look at this. This is not all the books. I could not fit all the books on the piece of paper. I'm just
the ones that are most popular is the Dream Dictionary. Empower Your Inner Psychic has done very well. My Dream Ritual Oracle cards, my Dream Decoder. I'm just trying to say the ones that are most common. Then the Sunday Times top 10 ones, actually, we haven't covered that, were angel stories. I wrote An Angel Called My Name. And the funny thing is, the publisher, HarperCollins, just said, there's so much interest in angels. Hey, you were born in a family of psychics and spirits, just go write about it. So I collected stories. They did no publicity because they thought nobody's going to read that. And then I still remember, I used to get the Sunday Times every Sunday. I was sitting there with my morning coffee. I always used to look at the top 10, dreaming one day. and then
living on there, and now you are.
I was my own name at number 4.
Wow.
And even the publisher didn't know. So on Monday, because everybody, those are the days when Sunday nothing happened. I actually had to phone my publisher, and they were only saying, "Oh my goodness, how did that happen?"
Yay! That is amazing.
The interest is out there. People wanted to read about this, but this was 2008 or 9, I think, when that happened. And then, I had another follow-up, An Angel Healed Me, which is about experiences in hospitals when people have had angelic healing. But even that wasn't enough for them they still didn't want to promote it.
Wow.
Again, it's sad, really. And it just happened organically, how it should. These were the days also when supermarkets over here would stock books.
Yep.
And it was just I was the supermarket queen,
That's
But,
awesome. That's
but,
awesome. It doesn't matter how it gets out, as long as it gets out. That
it does.
we always said, Mama D, right? I'm going to channel Mama D. No matter if, how many people see this show, if it helps one person, we did our job.
That's all that matters, isn't it? If it helps one person fall in love with their dreams, and when they fall in love with their dreams, they don't realize it. They're falling in love with themselves. That's all I want. That's the key. It does all go down to self-belief and self-love. You really can do very little in the world without that. You can do some, but you are, you will be a more effective helper.
Not there for you.
You'll be a more effective helper when you've done the inner work yourself first.
True.
Too many people out there trying to change the world, but what they really need to change is themselves first.
True. Now, what have you got coming up this year that people need to know about, or where they could see you or connect with you? Or
I'm going to be at Olympia, actually. I've been invited to talk there in May to be a keynote speaker in the annual Mind, Body, Spirit Festival that happens there. I'll be alongside the likes of Lorna Byrne, people like that. So I feel very honored to have that opportunity. Again, I'm going to be terrified because I'm going way out of my comfort zone. And a part of me just wanted to say, no, I don't want to do it, but I'm doing it. That's the first time I would have done a talk and a workshop in public. So that'll be quite scary, but good for me. But the rest of the time, managing my weekly podcast, as you know, takes a lot of energy, and I'm writing books for 2025 already. So that a book about precognition.
You have a couple more that you got to write.
After 2024. So April, September, and August and September, I'll be promoting the 3 coming out. Hopefully flying to the States. I think I'm already going on coast to coast to talk about the book. So I'm excited about that. So just see
when they come out, we'll book you again. I'll love to have you back in the fall. I really
well, you will be helping me there, because I sense already intuitively that you are both such paranormal powerhouses there. You know what you're talking about there. I do know, I have researched it, but from an academic point of view, like I don't lead ghost hunts. I've gone on ghost hunts and enjoyed them, and I have the belief and the research ability. But it'd be lovely to pick your brains about some questions that I have. I hope you come on my podcast, White Shores, to talk about your ghost hunts. That would be wonderful.
Absolutely. I'm an open book. I have a problem shutting up about it. Right? Honestly,
No, I'd love that. I'm going to put you on the spot now. I'd love you to come on White Shores, because and
I would love it.
Because I've spoken to neuroscientists, scientists there like Dean Radin, Eben Alexander, Arnaud Delorme, all these people leading the world, the visionary scientists, and I'd love to talk about going on a ghost hunt on there.
Oh, well, they've done thousands. I have thousands of EVPs. I've got, like I said, like the flare. I'm like the queen of the flare. I catch them all the time. I have so many pictures and videos and evidence of things and weird things. Anomalous. What's the word?
Anomalous.
That's the word. Things that have happened that are just like, oh my God. I can't believe half the things I see. Now, I'm going to show you something else too. All right. This is something that I couldn't even believe. I'm trying to disclaim it as I'm watching it happen. I've never seen this happen, because I've always seen things on the flare as a spirit with no heat, right? So as in purple or black, right? Void of heat. Now I'm at Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. We're downstairs in the kitchen. One of the guides actually was a friend of mine. He came in on his off day to hang with us, because he knew we were coming down. And Adam B, he's in a wheelchair. Okay. He's sitting in the middle of the kitchen. I got my flare on the door. Copperhead Greg comes in, he's playing with a flashlight or something, and he walks away. And then all of a sudden you see these heat footprints come walking in. Now, I've never seen this on a flare ever in my life, but I'm going to play this for you.
Oh my God, that was freaky. I think it was just your footsteps, but the way that they appeared, They just kind of went.
So those footsteps, it's Adam sitting in the wheelchair. Right now you see him walking, and I didn't even make the connection to him. Like, oh, maybe it's just the after effect of footsteps walking, but they're not even in the same path as what he walked, right? So this heated spirit came in. We saw the footprints as it walked by Adam sitting in the wheelchair. It made that big burn across the back of his neck. I'm like, never have I ever seen anything like that. So it's just
incredible. As I said, one of the entries in 101 entries for Haunted World, it is that. I'd love to talk to you about that. I try and get you in the book because it's still at final proof stage. Maybe we can put it. I'd love.
I have a million things I could show you and tell you and talk to you about.
Thank you, Gina. Thank you.
I got scratched at the gardener on the porch.
Oh, yeah. That place there too. Now the Victorian Mansion in Gardner, Mass. I almost bought it. I was so connected to it. That's how I met Joni through there too. Joni Mayan. She's another author. She has a million books out too on paranormal. Not like you, not as many as you.
Yeah.
But she wrote a book about that place, and I really was so drawn to this place. I seriously came this close to buying it. You know, which I'm glad I didn't, because the people that did buy it and did the place justice, and they could afford to do so. I would have been, I would have gotten it done eventually, but but that place is very haunted. A lot of things happen.
Thank you.
But it was amazing to have you on. I definitely want to have you back on, because we just scratched the surface with you.
Well, we're connected now, and I said I'd love to interview you about your paranormal investigations with both of you. So I will connect with you on Messenger, Gina, to set up the time. And this is a connection that
a lifetime connection. You are Foxton family now. And because
I'm going to show you. He's fast asleep. They say never wake a sleeping dog.
Oh,
He's been here all this time. Such a good boy.
Such a love. Yeah, I have to cook, Mom. Oh, that was fabulous.
Yay!
Thank you for stepping in for Mom.
Of course, anytime.
He needs to go to the toilet, I think.
We're so pet friendly here.
He's so good. He's been so good, just patiently waiting, haven't you? Yeah.
Yeah. Very good boy. Very good boy. All right. I'm going to play our exit video. Hang with us for a minute, Theresa, and everyone else. We'll see you next Thursday night. We're actually going to be doing some oracle cards. Mary Jane, unfortunately, can't be with us that night because Shaylee is singing, right?
Open mic.
Where is she singing?
In Palmer, Mass.
Go here. This girl should be on American
She'll be in Sturbridge this week. She actually, my friend Amanda and Tony, they did a show, and Shaylee got asked to come up to sing a couple of songs. So she's
amazing. She is so amazing. Her voice she's like a little angel, right? She's really, really good. So go see her if you can, promote her if you can, and check out Theresa on everything on LinkedIn and Facebook. And are you on Instagram?
No, I'm not on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram at the Theresa
Linktree.
Yeah.
Linktree. Okay.
I'm at the Theresa Cheung. I am an author page on Facebook as well. And X.
Right.
I'm also on X. I keep forgetting X.
I'm not on X, so I wasn't sure what X was.
Twitter.
I'm learning.
Formerly known as Twitter.
I found you on TikTok, but not you personally. Like there's snippets of you all over TikTok, but not your page.
What kind of fun.
Isn't that
fun? Oh gosh, thank you.
Well, that's a good
I keep saying I'm going to go on TikTok and then I bottle it.
You might want to take over before other people do.
Well, I'm going to try to get some cards from Theresa that maybe I can have for our card pulling show, which will just be me and Mama D on Thursday evening. All right, so we'll be doing that just so you guys know, get the little heads up. And Theresa, thank you so much. Mary Jane, thank you so much.
Mary Jane, everyone. Thank you. Lots of love from the UK. We are spiritual, really, in the UK.
Yay! Yay! Well, there's a lot of spirits over there. There's a lot of castles. which I want to talk about. All right. So anyway, like I said, we're going to have her back on because we got I got a million things to ask her. All right. And ciao for now, everybody. Love you.
Bye.
We thank you so much for joining us for another episode of The Fox Den with Gina B and Mama D. We are here every Thursday evening from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, bringing you a variety of guests. Streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, as well as our Anchor audio venues. We hope you enjoyed our show and our guest, and we would love it if you would go to our YouTube channel, The Fox Den with Gina B and Mama D, subscribe, and definitely hit that notification button to never miss a show. We'll see you all next week, and subscribers, watch for